How you doing, everybody? It's Harper with CF Community First. It's Harper with CF. I want to talk about respectful fear among ADOS. Respectful fear. There is, in my assessment, I see that ADOS people are standing, and there's a sleeping giant that has woke up, which is a good thing. There's a sleeping giant among our community as Black Americans that is yarning and stretching and woken up. However, there's a respectful fear. And in terms of fear, I know it sounds this way or that way is in that title. But in terms of fear, there's a bad fear and there's a good fear. And what the respectful fear is to me, in my assessment, is that one of the fears is that we have allowed a situation to come thus far without true rectifications throughout fear tactics. And that is a true fact. That is a fact. Those are receipts upon that. Now, that's one side of the fear. That's understandable. That's understandable. That we have come through different toils and struggles in terms of our cause and our existence inside this society. So that's a respectful fear, as though there were fear tactics used against us in institutionalized racism. And these receipts have been reported all over mainstream media, even during the '60 riots and all of these type of things. So those are fears that have been used ever since our ancestors were in captivity. There was all kinds of fears used to keep them there, to remove their God, to remove their identity, and everything about them as a productive person, as a individual, as a group, as a family, to maintain wealth and to be used for a business, which executed, and that's in chattel slavery. Now, the other fear that I've come in contact with now is the fear of our own people not knowing what's going on and had been undermined as a group. And so when we come in contact with that, they're really not knowing about ADOS. And when they do find out, they are putting content on social media that's unbelievable, because a lot of these people are educated, they're good in their expertise, and they're very intellectual. So the perpetuation on us as a group is not real. We accepted it. So here we are now. So there's a sleeping giant. There's a sleeping giant that's woke up. Black folks have been a sleeping giant. So these are the fears that are respectful that come into play that we can utilize, continue to utilize for our growth as it pertains to justice claims and us as a family and a group being a protected class. Well, hey, what's going on, subscriber? It's good to see you. I'm here doing commentary this morning and talks this morning because I understand that each person's voice and the science of what's going on is definitely needed in content of our community. And this is what we use in our community now collectively, as we, in terms of social media, other people in their living rooms and getting widestream messages across. So here we go, where there's also a one-on-one exchange that needs to happen, that is happening inside our communities and cities, which I do myself, because that's part of the fear of people not knowing. There's a lot of people who come into this content and they are like alarmed and saying, whoa, and there's a lot of people are glad because they understand now things are being put in perspective under the idea and the ideology of ADOS. And so we do need a lot of more content like this. And in the sense of community, simply because ADOS is it's really not it's a movement, but it's not being titled as that. We don't need nothing that's going to go too adjacent with the other cause, because every time it's a different time. So it's more or less dealt with in a place of integrity and a tremendous amount of intellectual presence. I mean, amongst all people, amongst all of us. I mean, all who on different levels, who are working in this department, that department, educators, grant writers, all of this. So here we are. We stretching and we yawning. We woke up, we're sitting up. As I said, Black was a sleeping giant. There is a justice claim. That justice claim is pertaining to our existence. It has nothing to do with just money. Now, I'm a promoter of getting checks cut. I'll tell you that, and I'll tell you why. Simply because we are the last people to receive our own property. You know, it's a transparent effect. And I think that's what's really scaring people, is that it's so transparent. Really, it's not to really be discussed. However, we have to have these discussions. We have to have a roundtable. We have to have open dialogue in order to have an opportunity to be community. We have to communicate. And what they have done throughout all our injustices and humanitarian crime is they kept us from the ability of communicating on a certain level, And this is what had happened to us in these great United States, even in terms of people who are rich and that have money. If you study this, a lot of people who are rich, especially hip hoppers and rappers, a lot of them are made to be degenerates because they have money, but they have no wealth. Real wealth is community, business camaraderie in the community. And that's what reparations would cover. And, you know, that's what we would do. If everybody had something to offer, then collectively we would be a wealthy people and we wouldn't be hurting anybody to do that. So I don't see why other groups would be opposed to what is due to a people. You have real no dogs in that race, especially if you are an immigrant. You're supposed to stand with us. You're already here having a new renaissance of what we have. First of all and foremost, we need to know what we have. We are America's children. We're descendants of slavery, but we are America's children. And what we have is a first world country where the milk and honey is actually flowing. We're actually rich. We have an inheritance. See, that's the difference in us and other third world countries or other nations. These are the great United States of America. See, we have to really know what we're dealing with and what we're speaking to. And you know what's on the agenda in the diaspora, what's actually real, what's actually there. And that's why I respect and revere Dr. Yvette Cornell and Antonio Moore, because what they've looked at the whole board. They've looked at the bigger picture. So they can set an example for us in terms of community value in exchange, in terms of politically exchange. That's what I looked at. That's why I support myself. This is ADOS. I am an American descendant of slavery. No matter how successful I become in my personal success, as a reflection of community, I got business, you see. And it'd be a shame for me not to have a voice or an exchange on that, and I'm a businessman with a personal success. But in terms of community and community value and economic, the way I exist should be a concern to me, you know. And so I see the charts, and they don't lie, but the statistics do lie in terms of the perpetuation upon Black existence that has been throughout the media for centuries. So here we go now as a sleeping giant waking up, and I understand this. And I am very proud to see the snowball effect in terms of this subject, and the content that's been put out there is unreal. People are talented, Black people, and they have been used and told that this is you and this is you in dictatorship and everything else. But if you notice, other groups don't necessarily get dictatorship. What they get is a new renaissance as a people. They're congratulated to be a people of rights, as a protected class, as it pertains to law, government, and economic wealth. And it's really scary that, it's kind of spooky that we as a people have not obtained these valuables and tangibles which belong to us. So Bernie Sanders, and I'm gonna get on talk about Bernie Sanders, which he exposed himself, because I was really in favor of Bernie Sanders because he had a tone of passion, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what the Democratic Party usually promotes, that passionate tone, so they can use the benign and neglect and the malignant exchange. The Democratic Party has been promoting that for many years. They want to vote. But Bernie Sanders is opposed to reparations in terms of American descendants of slaves, people who paved the way. And as a Jew, he should know what reparations mean. So when you go to The View and you say, what does that mean? And you become unhinged, it means to me that speaks volumes about who you are in government. That speaks volumes. You left an email. Thank you, subscriber. I will look at it. Thank you, and I will definitely connect with that. But in terms of our cause and these leaders and politicians that are out there, because we are community and unity in terms of us continuing to be there will be no relevance for them if we continue to stand. Because they are in the way of America apologizing. They are in the way of rectifications that are going on, that the enemy will soon appeal to that, as though he kept us in captivity of economic wealth. Kept us in captivity of economic wealth because you hold in my tangibles. You hold in the things that means community in this society. So I'm not really in America. But we did put ourselves up our bootstraps. Those who are able to make it. Those who are able to press. However, collectively as a group, you're holding on to what belongs to me as a community. So now that keeps me from doing business with my fellow Americans. That keeps me from being in the business camaraderie and community. That's left exposure to a whole group of people because they have no cause, no real meaning. So Bernie Sanders is opposed to that. But his people were affected by all of these kind of things also, and they got reparations. And he ran with that. He agreed to that. But now he don't know what reparation is. See, this is the transparency that we need in government. And because of ADOS, we're able to push that because they know that there's a sleeping giant woke up and it's a snowball effect. I mean, they have not gave recognition to the founders and the leaders of ADOS, but they have adopted the talking points. So we know that it's a cause and it's reached mainstream media. Everybody talking about reparations now because they know where we're at and where we stand. And they're saying these people are intellectual. They're not coming with violence. A lot of them are educated. They hold doctrines and all of this stuff. So everybody's important, whether you're overclass or underclass. It's a grassroots. Everybody is important. It's all about community and about facing. See, we never knew community. We never knew it. All we knew how to do is subject ourselves to someone else for them to have wealth and bedrock in community, even in chattel slavery. And after that, when we started to gain community, they assassinated our leaders and did with us with a militant force, which was the assassination of our leaders. And then the bombing of Black Wall Street and everything like that, where Black people were becoming, had a very strong presence. You see, that got detoured throughout militant force and violence. So that's institutionalized racism. And they used the U.S. military equipment, the police, and all this stuff. So this is what our receipts are on the chart. This is in the database. And these are in terms of our debt claims now, our justice claims, along with chattel slavery. So this is transparent. And for you to get up, Bernie Sanders to get up on The View and the Breakfast Club and respond the way he did, he's aggravated because Black people don't come as cheap as they used to. We're saying that, wait a minute, who's responsible for this country and her endeavors? Who's responsible for this great empire that other people are coming here, building enclaves and having a new renaissance off of the blood, sweat, and tears of the blood sacrifice of my people? And in terms of law, we have been granted something that we have not yet obtained. In terms of our constitutional rights, this is an injustice. So here we are, and this is serious, and I want Black folks to know that. Every one of you are important out there. Young, old, middle class. I've given this assignment to my nieces. One of them in the 8th grade, she has this assignment. And as a matter of fact, Harvard University wrote her a letter and expected her to be a doctor or a scientist because she's so smart. I've given this assignment to young people and old and older, as though it pertains to my age and around my age. And I told them, this is what our devices is for. See, what I've come to terms to know that they have made us where we are in the light of shook and jivers throughout the century. And we pay attention to everything that's hot, celebrity gossip, a lot of our young people, anything that's like that. And now we're changing that because other groups are entertained by knowledge. The reason they are because they know they are familiar with something else. They're familiar with the renaissance of our labor. They're familiar with the renaissance of our labor. We're familiar with whatever else somebody put out. We're familiar with degenerates, hip hop, a lot of our kids. And those people they're rich, but they're not wealthy. The ones who were in direct, able to help the community that came out of overclass, they came to another class. So they don't associate with the same human personality that they did when they were, before they started out, like Oprah Winfrey. And she, I kind of feel sorry for her, as a matter of fact, because she's hanging around with people that along the way she's going to be destroyed, especially with this new thing she's doing, taking pictures with Harvey Weinstein and exposing her brother, Michael Jackson, who's deceased, that invited her to his house. Now that speaks volumes, but that's another video. These are our people, and now, that are being confused, or that are buying into the theory of that they're somebody else. See, this is what's been going on for centuries, because it's non-threatening. What is about Black people obtaining the rights in this country as American citizens would be threatening? Actually, that's the reason why Black people have been in dire situations in terms of community, and that Black people have been in disarray, because the science shows us what happens when people in impoverished areas are impoverished. They are subject to anything. They're basically open to all kinds of character, all kinds of things, because they have no real place. Now, a lot of us have made name for ourselves. We put letters behind our name. We've been educated, but we're talking about collectively as a group, and it still doesn't matter. You still owe the children of America. You owe them a protected class. So the respectful fear is there, and that's good, because if you don't fear anything or have a respectful fear of anything, then it really doesn't have a big cause if it was an okie doke. So now our children are out there, and a lot of them, it's not very many, but it's enough for them to go to mainstream media and talk about our cause. So I keep saying I revere Dr. Yvette Cornell and Antonio Moore for even introducing us to something as important as this. I mean, to the point where people that are in high position, if they don't respond correctly, they're going to be non-relevant. And then the exposure of people being in high positions, supposedly over our situation, that are not us. They may look like us, but they're not us, and that's very interesting. Angela Rye, Roland Martin, a lot of these people are from other places, so they don't necessarily belong to us. But anyway, what I want to say today, and I'm going to let you go because I know that I want to do short talks, not very long each time. There's a video on every situation. What I want to say is that we have a respectful fear, and where the fear is coming from. Yes, subscriber, we need cards. We do. I'm going to read this. My subscriber said we need cards like driving license who can tell that we're Native Americans have tribute cards. Exactly. We do. And you know what else I'll say? We are tired of them trying to dilute everybody else's existence in what we have and who we are and what we're owed. I mean, nobody else does that. You don't see Black people going to the casino asking Indians for no check. You don't see that. You don't see that. You don't see us going to the Jews trying to say, well, y'all got reparations. We don't do that. So why every time we bring up something for us, they want to add people, Black and brown alliances? Who are the brown people? And then the Indians, they've been getting their reparations. We're not against them, but we're definitely standing for ourselves. This is specificity, specifics. So here we are, and we do need that. They have their own ID. So this is what we need. And I think we're going to get it, and I'm sure we are. It's just I want to come and elaborate a little bit this morning and let y'all know my heart and mind is with us today. and that we are to continue on as a group in the united front. And I appreciate everybody. And I want y'all to know this is everybody. And I appreciate it. The content is unreal as I continue, as I quit my video and go look at everything else. It's just beautiful. I can share it. But thank you for being a community, Black folks, American descendants of slavery. We are owed. We have justice claims. Thank you for standing. Thank you for joining. This is Harper, Community First. Thank you for joining, and thank you for being part of the community, American descendants of slavery, all over the diaspora. Thank you for reporting these videos, reporting this content. Continue talking. Continue being a stand-up giant. That's what I appreciate, because we have a great cause in all realms of integrity and respect. Thank you for joining me. This is Harper with Community First. KC, I'll be back with another talk. Thank you so much.